Kuma isn't just a character. He's one of the most carefully constructed characters Eiichiro Oda has ever written. A man who appears cold, robotic, and terrifying, yet turns out to be one of the most warmest, most selfless, and most human souls in all of One Piece. And the craziest part is that Oda spent over 1,000 chapters slowly assembling this man's story in the background, piece by piece, reveal by reveal, until Egghead finally showed us the full picture. So today, we're breaking down Kuma's journey, his faith, his love for Bonnie, and how he quietly shaped the entire story of One Piece. When Kuma was first introduced, he didn't fit into anything we knew. A tyrant but quiet and calm, a warlord who obeyed the world government, a pirate who carried a Bible, and a cyborg who could teleport people across the planet. Literally everything about Kuma felt contradictory, and Oda wanted it to be that way. Every early appearance from Thriller Bark to Sabaody and then Marineford was designed to confuse us. Kuma would do something that on the surface looked cruel, and then follow it up by doing something unbelievably compassionate. I mean, think about it. He tries to kill Luffy, then saves Zoro, then splits the Straw Hats to keep them alive, then spends 2 whole years guarding the Thousand Sunny. Kuma, in every sense of the word, was literally a puzzle piece that didn't make sense, at least until Egghead. Kuma's tragedy started the moment he was even born. His father was a buccaneer, one of the last survivors of a hunted race, and because of that bloodline, Kuma's entire family was taken into slavery. His mother passed away, and his father tried to keep Kuma's hope alive by telling him the story of Nika, a legendary liberator who brings smiles to people in need. But Kuma didn't believe it. He was a child who saw no future, a child who asked why he had to live through any of this. And in front of him, his father, the only person keeping him going, was killed for speaking of freedom. That was Kuma's first lesson. The world government doesn't just destroy people, they destroy hope. At God Valley, Kuma should have died. And I don't say that to say that I didn't want him to live, but he was literally lined up to be hunted for sport by the Celestial Dragons. But it's here he meets up with 2 people who change everything. Ivankov, the one who teaches him that miracles don't happen unless you fight for them, and Ginny, the first person who protects him. This is where Kuma regains something that he thought he lost. That being belief. Belief that life can still be worth living. Belief that he can help others escape the same fate, and the belief that he can one day become the liberator his father told him about. After escaping God Valley, Kuma finally gets the chance to live. He rebuilds his life in a church and helps people by literally taking their pain onto himself. He grows into a gentle man whose strength is used only to protect. But the world doesn't let him rest. Sorbet Kingdom becomes corrupt and people are suffering again. And Kuma refuses to watch another place be consumed by cruelty. So he joins Dragon and Ivankov as one of the first leaders of the Revolutionary Army. Not because he wants war, but because fighting is the only way a peaceful man can protect peace. Everything changes when Ginny dies and leaves behind her daughter. Not Kuma's biological child, but the girl he chooses to raise as his own. Bonnie then becomes Kuma's entire world. He dances with her, reads to her, tells her stories of Nika, and protects her from everything he suffered. He gives her the childhood that he never had, and when Bonnie becomes sick with a deadly condition, Kuma is then forced into the most painful choice of his life. Give up everything. His freedom, his body, his mind in exchange for Bonnie's future. And without hesitation, Kuma says yes. And I feel like the darkest part of it is that he calls it a blessing. He even thanks the government for letting him give up his life for her. Really let that sink in. A man who was once enslaved is now willing to voluntarily enslave himself again, as long as his daughter can live freely. This is love on a level that is damn near impossible to describe. And this is where you can see that Kuma's actions as a warlord finally make sense. He wasn't obeying the world government, he was just playing the role they forced onto him, all while using whatever whatever freedom he had left to protect others. At Thriller Bark, he saved Zoro's life. At Sabaody, he saved the entire crew. At Marineford, he saved Ivankov by pretending not to know them. Then, he spent 2 whole years guarding the Sunny even while deteriorating. Every single cold action he made was a calculated act of protection. Kuma was not the world government's weapon at all. He was a shield standing between their cruelty and the people that he cared about. There's a very heavy theme here that Oda quietly builds up. Luffy is alive only because of Kuma. Kuma spared him at Thriller Bark, refused to let him die at Sabaody, sent the entire crew to places where they'd grow stronger, and then ensured that the Sunny would be ready for their return. And the reason behind all of this is honestly heartbreaking. Kuma believed Luffy was the liberator the world needed. Luffy's punch to the Celestial Dragon wasn't just an act of rebellion or selfishness. If anything, to Kuma, it was Nika's rhythm repeating itself. He literally saw his faith come alive in front of him. Kuma shouldn't be able to move. His mind should be gone, and his body shouldn't respond. But when Bonnie is about to die, something impossible happens. He moves. He runs, he breaks every law of science, programming, and logic. He punches Saturn, the same man who destroyed his childhood to protect the daughter he gave everything for. A miracle that he himself made. And when Bonnie gains the power to embody Nika's freedom, she doesn't do it alone. She does it because Kuma taught her to believe in liberation. His faith lives inside her. His hope becomes her strength, and his love becomes the spark that frees her. Kuma's story is everything One Piece stands for. The struggle for freedom, the cruelty of systems, the resilience of hope, the weight of sacrifice, and the power of love passed down from parent to child. He was never a tyrant, never a monster or a weapon. Kuma is the man who carried the suffering of others so that they could smile. A saint born in chains, a father who gave up everything, a believer who kept running even when the world broke him. And thanks to Kuma, Bonnie gets a future, Luffy gets a future, and the world gets one step closer to liberation. Kuma didn't just impact One Piece, Kuma literally is One Piece. And that is the end of today's video. If you enjoyed this video all the way to the end, then be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in whatever I make next. Peace.